Hey, thanks for tuning in to Introductory Cooking for Witches and Wizards. Today I'm going to take you behind the scenes of how I made this book come to life. In this book, I chose to include a few magical spells that would be relevant to cooking for witches and wizards, some wand patterns to make cooking easier for them, as well as a few classic British recipes that were described throughout the Harry Potter series. I chose to use watercolor paper as my medium because I wanted the pages to have sort of a thick old book feel, and you'll notice I shredded the pages at the edges a little bit with my fingernails to give it a more worn look. Here I'm using a Sakura brush pen to write each recipe title in calligraphy. This pen gave me really great control over my typography. Actual brushes can be kind of unpredictable, as I've found, so I prefer to use these pens instead. I also used a Muji brush pen to illustrate in watercolor. I like this pen a lot because it works the same way as a felt tip eyeliner would, or maybe a very thin watercolor brush, but with a little more control. It was sort of natural, I think, for me to want to create a magical cookbook. I've always been really interested in food, and particularly in the descriptions of the Hogwarts banquets or of Molly Weasley cooking with flourish and ease. And so I thought this would be such a fun project to take on. I also wanted to hand illustrate and hand write each page because I wanted the book to have sort of an ease and lightheartedness and kind of move away from sort of the impersonal nature that sometimes typed books can have, I feel. I also bound this book with a bookbinding needle and some thread. I also took some cardboard to create my book cover. This is some really thin cardboard that I found just lying around my house, and I used a big glue stick to glue it down to some paper. This maroon paper I really liked because it isn't quite normal paper, it's a little bit thinner. And you can kind of see the threads of the paper a little more. And I think it's normally used for scrapbooking, but I really liked it because I thought it looked a bit magical. And then I chose to glue down the first and last pages of the book to the cover, and that way I wouldn't have to also bind the cover. And the way that this worked out was really interesting because the front cover would kind of fold into the back cover a little bit, and so it would open flat, and it had an exposed seam, which I also really liked because I think that seems kind of natural and adds to the worn look of the book as well. And then I went back in with my Sakura brush pen to also write the title, Introductory Cooking for Witches and Wizards. And that's how I created my book. I really hope you enjoyed joining me through this short journey, and I hope to see you again soon.